So I recently started working on cuckoo clocks. I'm retired, don't have a lot of money, um, and I for some reason, I had an old cuckoo clock that I bought when I was like 15, and I'm 64 now, and I just went through and rebuilt it. Works very well, and I've purchased a few more from eBay, and I like to kind of purchase the ones that are banged up a bit, and you can get at a low price, and then spend time in reworking all the wood aspects and mechanical. But I didn't have a stand to work on them, so I thought I would make one. I didn't want to spend the money to buy one, and I didn't find anything particularly liked, so I made this one. So if you're needing a stand to repair cuckoo clocks, this is an idea that you might consider. It might be sheer stupidity, I don't know, but it works well for me. I don't have a lot of space. My garage is, pretty full with equipment. Again, retired, don't have a whole lot of money, so this was a kind of a nice option for me. So this area right here is adjustable. There's holes all along the back. So you can see here. So you can raise and lower this to hold the works of the clock. And these slide back and forth here. They're very much adjustable in almost any way you need to. And then for the top, this is on a slide right here. So, and it's all basically held together, very solid. I'll show you. Like this. So everything has basically threaded rods in it. It fits in perfectly. It secures very, very well. And once all tightened up, it does not move. So this allows you to work, again, on the clock works. And because it hangs over the base, it gives you ample room to either turn it inside or outside, or because these are quite strong and they're all machined aluminum, you can also hang the works sideways. And that, again, lets you get in there very easily. As for the clock case itself, if you want to work on the clock case while it's hanging on a screw, you've got this up here. Now this is built just like this, with a tongue on the back that extrudes out, and it tightens up on the back, so you can move it up and down. And then you take this piece off. So you remove this, unscrew this, and put this on right here. And all this is just a brace for the lower part of the clock case. So when this piece is installed here, it sits perfectly flush with this screw block. And then you can go through and adjust the angle of the clock to see how it's going to work as far as being in time goes, make whatever adjustments you may need to. This board is a 3/4 inch oak board. It's very strong. I machine these. I'm not a great welder. I'm not a great woodworker. I'm not a great machinist, but I just did a few simple things and it works real well. So this is totally removable. If I want to take it out, just a few screws right here and over here, and this can be all removed from the board, as can this part. And this can slide in and out. And to secure it, it's got little machine screws with Allen heads in the back, and that holds everything tight. Now you may be wondering what these kind of banjo looking parts are, and each piece has 2 on each side. All these are what I call chain drapes, because I don't know about you, but when you're working on your clock, I've heard it kind of phrased as it's like working on an octopus when you have these big chains hanging off. So you can hang very gingerly 2 chains on each side, and that pretty much covers most of what you're going to be working on. And these are sanded, they're slippery, they've got Purple Heart inserts on them, and they work really well. And if you need to pull them, because everything is shellacked real nice, you can pull them off and adjust them as needed. So these work real well for that. And again, it keeps the chains off of the floor, so you're not going to trip on them with your legs. And it does really help a great deal. Now, when you're working on the clock itself, because I don't have a whole lot of space, I can turn it around. It's on a Lazy Susan mounted on about an 1/8 inch steel plate down below. So this thing is very heavy. And this right here allows the clock case to be placed, and then these little clamps can just clamp down and hold the case in position. Depending upon the size of your Cuckoo Clock, these can slide out or slide in for smaller clocks. And these also have these chain supports on them. So these little banjo parts, again, for holding your chains. And there is a center in these to hold one chain on one side, one on the other. Again, it holds real well. As I mentioned earlier, this can be very easily removed with these 3 screws. It has machined aluminum support in between to make sure it's strong. This is just some construction redwood I had laying around. The base, I should have made an oak. I didn't have enough oak, so I had some teak. So I used teak, and it's working really well. These components are oak. This is oak, this is teak, and teak. And I got the teak from Lowe's a number of years ago. I wouldn't recommend it. Try to stick with oak or maple, a good hardwood. These are just plywood. Again, it's what I had at the time. Had I to do it over, had a little bit more money, I probably would have picked up some maple. Maybe I'll redo them. These construction grade redwood 2x4s, they're plenty strong. They're not pretty. You can varnish them and shellac them all you want. They're never going to be like a really super beautiful wood like oak. I mean, that oak is gorgeous. You can see the quarter sawing on the side. So it's very pretty. So these are all stainless steel fixtures. It's got recessed nuts down below that are secured in place, so these can be tightened up or adjusted as needed. If you need to change the pitch or angle of the clock, it's real easy just to put little shims in here very quickly, and you can raise and lower 1/2 if you need to. I haven't really needed to though. And if you look down below, this is all cut out. And the reason it's cut out is it'll sit on your bench, and when you want to work on the case with the clock works in it, you can mount your clock up here, let your chains drape through here with your weights, and you're good to let it run for a day, a week, or whatever you may need to. And when you go to work on it again, very carefully just drape the chains up and around here. You have full access to it. You can turn it around as you need to. Works real well. It does have I just machined real quick and cut out a little, like, I don't know what you'd call it, a little pin that kind of allows you to move this, and then it locks into place. So there it's locked, so this won't turn, so it's fairly stable. And again, the whole thing is pretty heavy, but the flexibility of this is proving really good. One of the reasons why I went with this instead of the traditional roof supported Cuckoo Clock workstations is that I found a lot of clocks that were very heavy, or the bigger older clocks, to be not constructed too terribly well as far as the cabinet goes. So hanging them by the cabinet for most would be absolutely fine, but it always kind of made me a little bit nervous unless I went in there and cut some real good supports and cement or glued them or mounted them inside the clock case to support it and make it a little bit stronger. So with this, I don't have to worry about that because all the weight of the clock is supported on all of these miscellaneous parts. And these can be very easily removed. There's just, there's studs coming up from here. I'll show you. So this stud just goes right into the board. And you can tighten it down, and this will not budge at all. So again, you can flip this upside down if you need a lot more space for a very big clock work, like a grandfather clock or something, but I've never seen many clock works that would that would be too large for this unless you're into something really commercial, like some type of public clock. So this in here is all machined out. Again, I'm not a good machinist, but just an old retired guy. And stainless steel, Allen heads, all threaded into the aluminum. These are just machined with 45s in them. And these seem to hold everything really well. So there's just so much adjustability to it that it's proving to work, quite well. Maybe one day I'll go ahead and build something that suspends from the ceiling that does hold by the roof of the clock case. But for me right now, this is proving to be pretty handy. And now it's locked in position. And if you look down here, you can see the Lazy Susan and also kind of get an idea as to where the heavy steel plate or how it's located. All in all, being retired, sometimes you have more time than money. And if that's the case, you have to get a little bit creative to kind of support your habits or what you might enjoy doing. So, and that was kind of the case with this. I used what I had. So here you can see, how really adjustable these are. And if you don't need them, you just take them off. And again, you've got a pretty good distance right here between these two. If you have a really big clock, that's like 8 inches to allow room for, ample chain spacing. But again, this would be a pretty big clock case. I find that almost any clock works that I do, just your basic standard Cuckoo Clock, that this setup, it just works really good for me. And everything is down here, it's all spring loaded, so it works real well. And like I say, so far, it's been really, really good and very handy to have. Here you can see where it was, where I dadoed that out to, again, allow for a lot of adjustability. So you can slide this up and down as needed. That goes for both parts. And here you can see a close-up of the bottom of the clock support, the lower case support. So this just, again, pops out. You just reverse it, put it on the front, take these pieces off, and you've got all the space you need to very securely work on your clock case with the works inside, or you can move it over here. For a little while, I was actually working on 2 clocks consecutively, with one clock being, one set of works being there, and the other clock case here. And that was really nice too. And it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Let's take a look here. So yeah, it's only about 17.5 by 20. So the whole thing isn't very big. And I'm kind of tall because I'm 6'7". I I like to have the works and everything a little bit on the taller side for me. So if you're wondering why this board is so high, that's the reason why. And this too, you can see here, these are a little bit on the tall side. So they're 18 inches or 17 and a quarter at the top of this mount. Again, because I'm so tall, sometimes I like to stand when I work on a clock, and having it this height is beneficial. Plus, when I do let the chains down to let it run, this does help a lot, having this little extra height. But the cool thing about something like this is if you choose to build a contraption like this, it looks like almost like some kind of funky musical instrument, but if you choose to build something like this, you can build it to fit you exactly. And that's probably one of the best things about it. So again, you know, I'm not a talented woodworker, I'm not a great machinist, I'm not the best welder, but overall, for what I needed, I'm not a horologist by any definition, just an old grumpy guy in his garage that needed a stand to work on clocks. So yeah, that's it. You know, I hope that this is kind of helpful to you. Should you need to build something similar, just throwing an idea at you here as to what I kind of found that worked well for me. And I hope it helps anyone. If it helps one person, I think that's great. And I guess I should mention too that if you don't want to use these aluminum machined parts, you can take them off. It's not a problem. It just takes a minute. And if you look down here, there's a cut right here and up here in this one. So these wood pieces will also hold a clockwork. So you don't need to use these. You can just use these wood brackets. But I just found with these aluminum pieces, I have a lot more adjustability for customizing precisely how the clockwork is being held. And it really does help if I can run it this way or flat, you know, when it comes time to really start making all the adjustments, because anyone who works on a Cuckoo Clocks knows that they're awesome, but they're kind of a Rube Goldberg type device, you know, with wires going everywhere, and sometimes the adjustments are so crucial. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to bore you any longer, but yeah, just kind of an idea to throw at you. So anyways, hey, take care, be safe.